Guys, the meta has changed so much. We have a bunch of new hypercharges. We've got balance changes. Then the gadget rework really changing up the meta. So I'm going to give you guys the worst hypercharges to the best hypercharges ranked right now in this updated tier list. Let's start. So let's start with the 1-star hypercharges. These are the worst hypercharges in the game. I would not spend my coins on these hypercharges, guys. We've got Charlie, Jean, Pearl, Sprout, Daryl, Miko, and 8-Bit. Now, all of these hypercharges are 1-star because they offer so little value. In fact, most people use these hypercharges just for the stat boost. For example, you get Pearl's hypercharge. Her hypercharge super doesn't really do much. You push the enemy back. In fact, the best way to use Pearl's hypercharge would be to just use the damage increase bonus and combine it with her cookie gadget to deal amazing damage that way. So it's not great for the super effect. Same with the hypercharge like Daryl. Daryl's hypercharge does very little damage, doesn't really benefit you much. Only plus 5% damage boost as well. However, you do get a 25% speed boost and a 25% shield. So that's where the main benefit comes from. Same with all of these other hypercharges. Charlie's hypercharge takes so long to charge. You do get 3 spiders. Jean's hypercharge triple pull, oftentimes that can backfire. Sprout's hypercharge, the damage is like almost, you're never gonna get it because why are you throwing walls at the enemy, right? It doesn't make sense. So like I said, a lot of these hypercharges, they just require a rework. 8-Bit's hypercharge, for example, most of the time you want to put your 8-Bit turret behind the wall, right? And so if you're deploying your hypercharged turret behind the wall, guess what happens? Your turret's not gonna fire on the enemy, right? It's not gonna shoot at them. So a lot of these hypercharges are just counterintuitive, doesn't make sense, and just offer so little value. Next, moving on to 2-star hypercharges. These are a little better, but still offer pretty low value. We've got Belle, Shelly, Ems, Angelo, Squeak, Nanny, Colt, Ruffs, Gale, and Brock. Now, a lot of these hypercharges are also pretty lowly rated because they also take a very long time to charge. For example, Angelo's hypercharge is actually very good because you move with your super, so that's great, especially combined with the piercing gadget. That can be very lethal. However, it takes forever to charge that hypercharge. It takes so long to get it, and so we have to weigh that in as well. Not just how powerful it is, but how long it takes to charge it. A lot of these hypercharges just take too long. Brock's hypercharge actually reduces damage. However, it is easier to hit his super with that hypercharge, but it is still a 2-star hypercharge, pretty decent. Gale's hypercharge, Gale's been falling down in the meta a lot. His hypercharge does offer that increased damage, but most of the time you don't even need his hypercharge super, especially in this current meta with his super, which is already enough. That also takes a long time to charge. Ruff's hypercharge is kind of counterintuitive because if you already boost one of your teammates with his super and then you drop your hypercharge on them, guess what happens? Your teammate can't even pick up that hypercharge, right? So it really hurts that way as well. So a lot of these hypercharges can also backfire in that way as well. Belle's hypercharge is great for the homing ability. You don't miss your super, but at the same time, if you already are good, you have good aim with your super, you already have the enemy targeted, right? And if you have an enemy target with Belle's super, now your hypercharge kind of doesn't help out anymore because if you use your super again, obviously the pre-marked Belle target on an enemy will now move to the other enemy, right? So a lot of these hypercharges do have negative value sometimes, but overall they're pretty decent. Next, moving on to the 3-star hypercharges. These are, in my opinion, the most balanced hypercharges in the game. They are very good, but nothing game breaking, of course. We've got Bull, Buzz, Jackie, Maisie, BB, Rosa, Spike, Tick, Piper, Otis, Jesse, Edgar, Bo, Eve, Primo, and B's newest hypercharge. So let's talk about B's new hypercharge. Now, B's new hypercharge is pretty decent. Overall, you get the slowdown with the hypercharge, but obviously you get that with her super as well. Sure, the slowdown, it pierces through the enemy and you can get multiple slowdowns, which is really great, but overall that's quite balanced. Nothing game breaking because you're already gonna slow the enemy with her normal super, right? However, you do get a great stat boost, a hypercharged boosted attack by B. A single shot can do 5,500 damage, so that's pretty amazing. So we're gonna put her at the middle here at 3 stars. And all of these other hypercharges, especially the tanks guys like Bull, Primo, Buzz, Rosa, Jackie, especially with the tank trait, is really strong because you take damage on a brawler like Rosa or Primo or Jackie, you're charging your hypercharge, right? So you get closer to getting those hypercharges. Overall, these hypercharges are not game breaking. They offer great value in the sense that they give you that speed boost. Tanks really need the speed boost to really approach the enemy because they don't have much range, right? So they can be very strong in that regard. A lot of these other hypercharges, Bo's new hypercharge, we got to talk about. That 5 additional mine can be quite dangerous, especially if the enemy doesn't have a way to quickly disintegrate those mines, deactivate them. If you can't do that, then you have a very big big advantage, right? However, most of the time, especially in draft or ranked mode, you're not going to see Bo as much because the mobility brawlers are going to be able to quickly deactivate those mines. Any speedy brawler is going to be able to go through it, or a brawler that can charge with their super, they're going to deactivate those mines pretty easily. So it's not the most broken hypercharge. It's quite balanced. Okay, now let's move on to the 4-star hypercharges. These are the A-tier hypercharges. Very good hypercharges, offer great value. We've got Cordelius, Fang, Nita, Terra, Colette, Barley, Crow, Stu, Leon, Sandy, Poco, and Ash. Now, Ash's hypercharge, very strong. He's a new rotten banana gadget reworked. He can get infinite speed boost and rage boost from that. Couple that with his hypercharge, he can be quite deadly in the meta. Gets that hypercharge very quickly. Any aggressive brawler that really takes advantage of speed can be very hard to deal with. And so our Ash is still 4 stars with his hypercharge. Poco has been, man, Poco has been really strong in this meta, guys, especially with his protective tunes gadget. So useful in so many scenarios. For example, if a Lou uses his hypercharge, well, just use the protective tunes gadget with Poco, right? You can just quickly remove it. But more so his hypercharge, guys. A lot of people underrated. Like, he gives you a big 2800 shield on top of his heal. That can be really useful for any aggressive push. Even if your teammates are at full health, getting that additional shield on top of that is just crazy. I feel like a lot more people have been realizing just how amazing Poco is. And then of course you also get the speed boost with Poco as well, and that allows you to approach the enemy, get supers more effectively. It's such an underrated hypercharge. Sandy's hypercharge is still really good. Leon's hypercharge is really good. They used to be 5 tier, but right now in the current meta they're not as dominant anymore with these hypercharges, so we're gonna drop them a bit. Then with the Fang's hypercharge takes a very long time to get, but it's one of the deadliest hypercharges. That ability to go through the wall, get damage boost, and then couple it with the fresh kick star power. It can be very deadly. However, Fang just not very strong in this current meta. Cordelius' hypercharge got a free kill, of course. Nita's hypercharge is so strong, especially in so many control modes and areas like hot zone, gem grab, of course, heist, of course. You got Terra. Terra is so strong as a last pick now, especially with the gadget rework. She can deploy shadows so many times over the course of a full game. Couple that with her hypercharge that can destroy a whole area, all the walls. It's very deadly. Can get you easy double kill, even triple kill opportunities with it. All right, we got to talk about the best of the best hypercharges, guys. The 5-star hypercharges. We got a bunch of these 5-star hypercharges, actually. We've got Hank's new hypercharge, Mr. P's new hypercharge, Lou, Janet, Frank, Max, Rico, Penny, Gray, Melody, Barry, Dynamite, Mortis, Surge, and Mandy. A lot of these hypercharges are just so game-changing. For example, Mandy is a brawler, doesn't really dominate in certain game modes like Brawl Ball, Brawl Hockey, right? You don't really want to use Mandy in Hot Zone. However, if you're using her in Bounty, Knockout, Wipeout, these game modes, she's just so broken, especially with her hypercharge at stat boost, 6,250 damage with a hypercharge super, and then you have 3 of those, you can chain it. It's just so game changing. So that's the reason we have these 5-star hypercharges at 5 stars, because they're just so broken, so game changing. We've got Hank's hypercharge. Open area is a complete team wipe, guys. Hank is one of the best brawler, top 3 brawler in this current meta. Same with Mr. P, top 3 brawler in this meta. Mr. P's hypercharge is absolutely filthy. Once you get it down, normal counters like assassins and tanks that used to counter Mr. P, now they struggle, because if you're using those brawlers, Mr. P is just gonna get his hypercharge faster, and once he has that down, double the porter, double the damage, double the cycle. It's just too much, too overwhelming to stop. Mr. P is just so broken because of this hypercharge. Absolutely deadly. You got Lou's hypercharge, instant freeze, of course. Janet's hypercharge is so broken as well, because once she has that hypercharge, go on top of someone, it's a free kill and you get your super back. It's just so broken, especially on a game mode like gem grab. Go for the gem carrier, steal the gems, and then fly away, right? It's just so crazy. Frank's hypercharge still 5 stars, mainly because he just gets it so fast. Frank's got the fastest charging hypercharge in the game. Just takes damage from the tank trait. His super only takes 3 hits. Crazy. And then of course Max's hypercharge. You use her hypercharge to get your other teammates hypercharge even closer. Because of that hypercharge, it charges their super and their hypercharge. It's absolutely deadly. Rico's hypercharge is just undodgeable. Goes through beyond the whole map and deals damage. Just so broken. But yeah, as you can see, these hypercharges so broken. Barry's hypercharge. You get Barry's hypercharge freely just by healing your teammates with his trait. Gray's hypercharge. Double the portals. You got 4 portals around the map. There's just so much aggression, so much mobility around the map now. And then Melody, of course, mobility brawler. On top of that, her hypercharge 6 notes around her. She just becomes becomes unstoppable, uncounterable. These hypercharges, guys, are just insane. Drop your penny mortar, double the shot. If the enemy doesn't have a good way to take out your mortar, guess what? It's over. Penny's mortar is just that strong. Dynamite, obviously, you get a super with his hypercharge. You get chain, you get team wipes easily. Same with Mortis. Now, Mortis is not meta right now, but his hypercharge is still so deadly. That ability to chain supers and easily win makes him one of the strongest, or not strongest, one of the deadliest last picks in draft as well. And then Surge's hypercharge in his stage 3 form is just uncounterable. He just can't miss, and you can chain supers. So yeah, there you have it. All these hypercharges at 5 stars are just so game breaking. Every single one of these should get nerfed. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you guys enjoyed the video. Tune in until next month. We're most likely gonna get nerfs for Hanks and Mr. P's hypercharge for sure. I feel like you have to nerf them because of how game breaking they are. So if they are nerfed, if we have balance changes next month, I'm gonna give you guys another update to this hypercharge tier list. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tune in until next time.